Hello, thank you so much for being here. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at your 7 chakras and just seeing if there are any imbalances or anything that needs to be healed within those. I feel like it is a pretty ambitious reading, so I'm no expert on the chakra system. I have a pretty good knowledge of it, but it is a reading that I've wanted to try for a while now, so I want to go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and see how it goes. I do want to start off by getting a card from the BTS Song of the Soul Oracle, and then I'm going to bring out some oracle cards that I pre-shuffled, and these are just going to represent your general overall energy before we get into the specifics, and you can use that as an energy check to see if it sounds like this video is resonating with you and if there might be a message for you today. So what is the current energy of this collective? We have louder than bombs. Louder than bombs I sing, promise to you and me. And the keyword is sincerity. So next I want to get into your oracle cards. You got 2 from this deck. We have number 29, Water Dragon, manifesting your dreams. We also have number 49, Water Rat, focus on your vision. We have Black, number 28, find richness from the dark night. Number 44, Divine Matrix. And number 37, Selenite. Keyword is peace, and it's associated with the crown chakra. This deck always associates each card with a chakra, but to be honest, I was intentionally choosing 2 oracle decks that had like vibrant, like monochromatic colors on them to get like a sort of hint, a sort of preview for if there's going to be any certain chakra that is like going to be predominant in this reading. And of course we got black and white, but selenite is associated with the crown chakra, so that might end up being significant. But yeah, I don't know what this collective has been up to, but I feel like I keep getting a lot of messages about manifestation and about like the uncertainty of like that process when you can't see what the future is going to hold, and just facing that unknown. But I feel like this collective must be well, I was trying to say manifesting, but I started to say transforming. So that's definitely relevant to maybe you were going through a huge spiritual transformation. But it also just feels like you are manifesting something major, and it's something that is like maybe been taking you a lot of time. And because of that, it might be causing you some self-doubt. And just feelings of like anxiety and worry because of the uncertainty that you're facing. But it's interesting that we have both cards that came out are water cards. And so water is connected to the sacral chakra. But this, from the messages in these cards, I'm getting a lot about, like while water has a lot of positive qualities, it also can cause sort of anxiety. And so I feel like with your current energy and like this black, you could be going through a dark night of the soul, or this could just be representing like that uncertainty of facing the unknown. But this card actually reminds me of that song lyric from Your Eyes Tell, even the darkness you're gazing into is so beautiful, or something. It's something like that. I don't remember the exact translation. If there is an official one, I'm not sure. But it's really giving me this feeling of like, these cards are saying like you are on the right track, but all the same, it's, like you are feeling some anxiety and worry about like whether you're doing the right thing, whether you are, whether you're on the right path. But this card and this card also talks about manifestation. And I actually think I'll read that in a moment here. But this card talks a lot about determination. It's like, even though you are facing like, uncertainty, and you may have anxieties about it, you are facing that fear. The dragon is about determination and willpower. So there's clearly this energy that you're not giving up hope, or you need to not give up hope. Maybe there are times where you're like feeling unsure and you're starting to doubt yourself, but like you're still feeling determined. And I think that has a lot to do with like this card coming out here. It's like this, whatever you're trying to manifest or achieve, or even if this is just like representing like a greater spiritual journey, a spiritual transformation that you're going through, like it is definitely in alignment with you. It is like an authentic desire. Like it is, how should I say, like it is not conflicting with your true nature. Like sometimes we can have conflicting motivations, or we can be motivated by ego, or like wanting to prove ourselves to others, or to have a certain status, to appear a certain way. But it's like this card is really making me feel like this is like a sincere wish, like something that aligns with you on a soul level. And it seems like part of like this determination is like a promise you made to yourself, and maybe to someone else as well, but like at least a promise to yourself to stay true to who you are, and or to this desire, without wavering. And that's always easier said than done, right? Like this card talks about the need to focus because of the the waters can get a little rough with our emotions and unconscious beliefs and things like, or unconscious aspects that need healed or integrated. And that's what this peace card, I think, is like a need to calm these waters. Like both of these cards, it's like this is like a tidal wave, and these waters look really rough. So there's like this need to find peace, to find stillness. And with water, the best way to counter this energy, if it's getting overwhelming, is to ground yourself, like through meditation, through just doing something physical, walking around outside barefoot, whatever it is. There's a need to ground yourself and find peace, to be able to find peace in the uncertainty, because, well, like that song lyric, like it's actually a really beautiful thing. It's like yes, it can be frightening to not know what to expect, to not know how to prepare ourselves, or like if the unknown is always scary, but at the same time there's a beauty to it, where it's so full of potential. There's the possibilities are endless. And so maybe if it helps you to embrace this darkness that you're in right now, is to like get excited about that, to be inspired by the fact that there's like anything could happen. Like that could be really like a positive, exciting thing. And if you can also ground yourself and find peace in the present moment, then you likely what you're going to attract is going to be positive. But like I said, I do want to read this one because I don't remember exactly what it says. And I'm curious what, Divine Matrix is kind of abstract, but also just because Colette usually has something good to say. So, number 44, Divine Matrix. The key concepts are the realm of spirit, the knowledge that we are all divine beings, part of a tapestry, weaving our dreams into the fabric of reality, synchronicity, learning to trust the way things unfold. Absolutely, learning to trust that even in dark times, like trust that it's all going to work out. Do you ever wonder how synchronicities have come together? These meaningful coincidences move life forward in ways we might not understand at the time. We can get trapped in the idea that the world is a place of separate parts with space between, because the true quantum spiritual nature of reality can be confusing. Imagine that everything possible under the sun is waiting to be claimed. You are not separate from what you desire to manifest. Everything is intrinsically connected within a vast living web of life, a divine matrix. Even that which you would not yet let's try that again. Even that which you have not yet observed as part of your life experience is still connected to you. It remains dormant until you choose it. Life operates on life's terms as well. You don't live in a vacuum, so you are surrounded by a multitude of realities that were brought to life by others. These can surely affect you if you allow them to. But as your thread, your luminous life force, your courageous dream is part of the tapestry of life, you're being invited to be conscious of the pattern you are weaving. Isn't it amazing to know you have such power inherent in you just by being alive? You will see evidence of the truth of this divine matrix today. It is in you. What you do matters. All manner of miracles are waiting for you to lay claim to them. Ready? So yeah, I feel like that really fits with this reading. And all the more to the point of this card of focus your vision. So it is perfectly normal to, have our emotions fluctuate, to have moments of uncertainty and fears arise, etc. And I feel like the important thing to remember is not to try to, don't get so rigid and fearful, oh no, every thought is, I'm manifesting constantly, I have to only think happy thoughts, positive thoughts, whatever. Don't get into that sort of don't let yourself get swept up in that sort of mentality, because that usually just makes it worse, really. But with this card, talking about in order to create this focus on what you really want to achieve, and of course the present moment, what you can do to move towards that, with the peace of knowing that you're going to get there, is to embrace this energy of water, instead of trying to control it, instead of trying to contain it. When you have anxious thoughts that arise, don't resist them and freak out. Just let them flow. There's a lot of good meditations that can guide you in, I feel like I listened to one where it was each time a thought arises, instead of being oh no, clear your head, don't think of anything, instead of responding so defensively against each thought that arises, you just imagine that you're, well, even perfect for this water energy, you're sitting by a stream, and that each thought you have is a leaf falling onto the river and then gently being carried down the stream. So just let them flow. Don't resist them, but don't attach yourself to them. Practice detachment and just allow the thoughts, any anxieties, worries, whatever, to flow, so that you can maintain this sense of peace while you're in this period of uncertainty. All right. So hopefully, I think I covered everything there. But if that sounds like it resonates with you, let's go ahead and start getting into the different chakras. So I'm not really sure how this is going to go, because I feel like each chakra is pretty specific, and but at the same time, I know that a blockage in one chakra can affect the others, right? All of the chakras affect one another. So even if something comes up in the root chakra that sounds like it would be related to the heart chakra, perhaps because of an emotional wound that might show up as, causing you to have a sense of instability or something. I don't know. We'll find out. But I do think that this reading is a bit ambitious, so I don't know. I'm hoping that this makes sense. We'll find out. If it doesn't, then I probably won't be posting it. So, so if you're watching this video, it must have turned out all right. So stick with me and hopefully we can figure this out. All right, so to start off, actually, no, I want to go ahead and get a card for each one of these. That way, anyone who doesn't like watching the shuffling, I'll put a timestamp that you can skip to if you don't want to watch this part. But also because of the way I was like just talking about how each of the chakras can affect one another, it would probably be good to be able to look ahead a little. But to start, let's get a card for your root chakra. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to keep shuffling because a bunch of cards fell on the floor. These cards are slightly like bent, and I feel like it's going to be even harder to get single cards with this deck than usual. But as long as it's not like 3 or 4 per chakra, I think we'll be okay. So what is the energy of this collective's root chakra? Wow. You have the Empress. I'm like so tempted to start talking about it, but I already said I was going to shuffle out all the cards. So let's go ahead and get a card for the sacral chakra. We have the Fool in reverse. The solar plexus. What is the current energy of the solar plexus? Again, with big chunks of the deck falling out. Let's try to get just 1 or 2 cards for the solar plexus. What is the current energy of the solar plexus? We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. What is the current energy of the heart chakra? Oh, we have the Page of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. Is the current energy of the throat chakra? Where did that go? Okay. We have the Queen of Cups. The current energy of the third eye chakra. Oh. Well, this one fell on the table. This one fell literally in my lap. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take both of them. We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. And then last, let's go ahead and get a card for the crown chakra. We have the Queen of Swords. Okay, so I immediately, even like aside from like the card meanings, I think it's interesting that you have 3 major arcana cards, 3 court cards, and 3 minor arcana cards, which to me sounds balanced right there. But I also find it really interesting that the Page of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords showed up because I literally just did a pick a card reading, but this was the signifier card for the third group, this card exactly, and then the Queen of Swords was the signifier for the first group. It was a different tarot deck that I used, but I just thought it was interesting that two of those cards came out. Getting back to the actual matter at hand, let's go ahead and start with your root chakra. This is super positive, getting the Empress. So just in case, I'll just kind of give a little overview of what each chakra does. So in this case, just in case you don't know, some of you might know better than me. You can feel free to like add any extra insight that you want in the comments. But the root chakra it's the element of earth. It's about foundation, the physical body, feeling grounded, etc. So for the Empress to come in the upright for this, I mean, she is also earth element, so even those match, but she is abundance. She is also just like being able to enjoy like sensual things, like, you know, I mean, it can literally be like sensual in the sense of like passions and desires and whatnot, but also just like enjoying the natural world, the physical world, if that makes sense. The pleasure of the senses in, you know, any sense of the word. So I feel like your root chakra seems balanced. You seem grounded. And I did get that sense, like, we'll get to the sacral chakra here with this water energy, but like your foundation is there, your determination, you know, I mean, that can also get into solar plexus stuff with willpower, but like you're grounded. And even if you experience, you know, some of the, you know, worries and anxieties that's, you know, going to show up here when we talk about your sacral chakra, overall, you're feeling pretty grounded. You are feeling abundant, like your needs are met, like you don't have fear of your needs not being provided for. Even if like you're trying to manifest more and get to like the next level, it feels like it feels like you are secure. You have security where you are now. Getting into the sacral chakra, which has to do with emotions. It is the element of water, and it also has to do with desires. The fact that we got the Fool in the reverse, I guess like an important thing to bring up, especially in relation to this card being in the reverse, is that the sacral chakra is also about movement, right? And if you think about water and the fluidity, like the movement of water, like movement is a very key, it's an important aspect of the sacral chakra. But the fact that we have the Fool in reverse, it's like this, I feel like, is where, which makes sense because we were literally talking about water and how even though there's a lot of positive qualities to that element, it also has the aspect of fear and anxiety. And so I'm getting like this hesitation to go on this journey, to really go into the unknown, to really take those to make forward movement and progress into the unknown. Like there's a hesitation there, and it has to do with your emotions, with the sort of volatility of, you know, like the ups and downs of like your emotions and, you know, anything going on unconsciously that could be adding to that. I feel like this is really where that this sense of peace is needed. So it is also interesting with the solar plexus, which that chakra represents your ego, your sense of self, your willpower and motivation. And for your tarot, we got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So it also has this feeling of like resisting the change. And it's like maybe you really want this, whatever it is, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, you want the change. You want this transformation of whether it's your life or your soul or, you know, like I mean, usually it ends up being both, right? But you want the change, you want the new beginning, but at the same time, there's like this hesitation, there's this resistance to going into that, to entering into the dark night where you can't see anything and you're just faced with uncertainties, because even though you know that's the way you got to go to get what you want, to find what's, really going to be fulfilling for you, there's also like this possibility that there's going to be scary things that, like along the way, or challenges and obstacles that you're going to meet. But I mean, with that, it's like, I literally was reading what was I reading? But I just today, I just getting this quote popping into my head of, any shot you don't take, you miss. Right? So I just feel like that was fitting. It's weird how that popped into my head, but it's like, you can't solve the problems or challenges that you might encounter on your journey until you start doing it, right? Like, don't worry about things before they occur. If you keep, a level head, if you can find some stillness within these waters, you're going to be in a better place to problem solve and to work around those issues. But I'm feeling like part of this, it's not just this fear. Like, I feel like the emotions, and the doubts, maybe self-doubt, whatever, that could definitely be a factor with the solar plexus. But with the emotions, it's not just that. There's something about your ego. And this isn't meant to be like a criticism. Like, everyone has an ego, and the vast majority of people are run by their ego. The vast majority of people have not transcended their ego, and this is just like the unfortunate circumstances of our society. But everyone has an ego. So like, if to say that, there are some issues with your ego, like, everyone has them, unless they're completely enlightened, which, I doubt. I even doubt this idea of complete enlightenment. I think that there have definitely been people who have had enlightening experiences, but I find it hard to believe that their ego is completely dissolved. The point is not to kill your ego anyway, it's to transcend it. But I don't know how you could possibly not have some sense of self. Then again, I'm not enlightened, so maybe if I was, then I could I could explain it to you. But I've read explanations from people who claim to be enlightened, and I'm like, no, I think that you had an experience where you no longer had an ego, and you were able to really see the interconnectedness of things, like the Divine Matrix card talks about. But anyway, my point is, don't take this as like a harsh criticism, but there could be some ego issues that are holding you back from moving forward and from embracing this change. Like, there could be some of this resistance could be coming from your ego, because it's showing up especially in the solar plexus. But what I mean by that is like, I'm like debating how much I want to overshare on YouTube. Let's just say, like, you currently work at a job that is like, people have an admiration and respect for you working in that job, but that job doesn't align with you. You don't feel fulfilled in that job. Okay. So maybe maybe you want to quit that job, but at the same time, you're worried about what other people are going to think. You're worried that people are going to lose respect. Or maybe it's has something to do with, well, here's like an example for me. It took me like a year to tell my mom that I did tarot readings because she's very Christian. and, has this association with tarot being like witchcraft and stuff. And, so I was like, sort of just like the eye roll of like, do I feel like having this conversation and trying to explain it to her, but there could be a fear, like a similar sort of fear, for you. And like, if you were to tell people what you're really trying to pursue, if you were to share your dream, like what you are being called towards, maybe you don't feel, maybe there's like this fear of your ego that the people in your life aren't going to understand or respect that, if that makes sense. So, but the, like, and that could very well lead you to a dark night of the soul, because like, if it's something serious where people are actually going to like leave your life, or like not be as supportive, or not, not have the same role in your life anymore, you can end up facing a period of isolation. And that adjustment is sometimes necessary in order for you to be able to stick to your truth, right? In order for you to be your authentic self. Like, if there are people in your life who aren't going to accept who you truly are, like who you are authentic, like on an authentic level, then they're not meant to to play that big of a role in your life, right? But that's, that's, even if we can say that, that doesn't mean that it's an easy process, or it's not going to be emotionally painful to work through, or to go through that process, right? But the whole point is, it's like, if you are committed to this, if you want to be authentic, like, those are things that you have to face. And I think that a lot of times we blow things out of proportion. Like, we imagine things worse than they are really going to be. Like, my mom was just kind of like, sort of like shoulder shrug, like, oh, but like, we just agreed to disagree, basically. And it, like, and that was that. No big deal. Right. But anyway, I feel like there is something to unpack. Like, I feel like these two chakras right here, the sacral chakra and the solar plexus, are really where the only like major imbalance, like, we'll get to the rest of the chakras in a moment, but I feel like this is the main thing. And it fits really well with like what we were talking about before. It's just this fear of moving forward into this uncertain period, to really let yourself go and to just be taken by the current and, like, see where it leads you. So moving on to the heart chakra. I mean, I feel like this is really positive. And it is interesting that we have the pentacles coming up. I guess these, I don't really remember which elements these are associated with, but the pentacles is earth and wands is fire, which I don't think I said. The solar plexus is related to fire. The heart chakra, air. But I lost my train of thought. Well, let's just start with the Four of Wands. So this card is, I mean, it's a really positive card, and it could indicate, as you can probably deduce by this image, it can refer to romantic relationships in the sense of establishing a new family, or like getting married, something like that. But it overall, it is a card of like community, family, foundation, celebration, so I feel like there's some really positive energy going on in your heart chakra right now. It seems like it is well balanced, but I mean, then again, maybe this is where that fear comes from, is because you feel such a great sense of fulfillment in your community and the relationships that you have, that you're afraid of jeopardizing them. But at the same time, if it's that strong, then I don't think that, I don't think you have anything to worry about in the first place, right? But I am feeling like, because of the pentacles showing up here, that it is because of the loving relationships in your life, that are in, like, I'm feeling like the fact that the Page of Pentacles is here, like either you are trying to manifest this, like maybe you're trying to manifest like your lifetime partner, like, something like that. Like this could be something that you were focused on manifesting, but I'm also getting like since the Pentacles are showing up with this, that like you have this sense of community and family and support, like this like positive environment that is the very reason that you are able to feel so grounded. I hope that makes sense. But like, like all of the chakras can influence one another. And I'm feeling like, like you have this sense of security because your heart, your heart is full, right? Because you feel loved and supported, etc. But yeah, so I'm feeling like that is very positive, but that also just makes me feel like this, like the worries that we were talking about before are like so unnecessary. Like I don't even think that you would be like isolated by, the people in your life. Sorry, I'm starting to like lose my voice. Which is funny because we're getting to the throat chakra now, which clearly mine is experiencing some blockages at the moment. But we have the Queen of Cups. And I do feel like this is like a really positive sign of your throat chakra being well balanced in spite of like my current imbalance. I feel like for whoever's watching, like your throat chakra is well balanced. You are able to, I guess I stopped talking about what the chakras represent, but I feel like the heart chakra is like a pretty self-explanatory. It has to do with love and relationships primarily. But also it is a chakra of balance. It's the center of the 7 chakras, although I don't know if I mentioned it before, there are more than 7 chakras, and maybe white is even like the chakra that's like above the crown chakra, that's like not literally like there's no place on the body, it's just like a ways above your head. I don't know, but anyway, the heart chakra has to do with balance because it's in the center, but the throat chakra has to do with communication. It has to do, this is actually the color for the throat chakra is blue, and that is what the microphone colors on this deck represent. So this is a throat chakra card, and it has to do with personal truth. It has to do with sincerity, authenticity, all of those things, communication and listening. So the fact that we have the Queen of Cups, I'm feeling like this is a positive sense of you being able, like you being in touch with your emotions and you being able to communicate them in a healthy manner, not in, like, not in like an explosive or, harmful, destructive sort of way, but like in a really healthy, positive sense. You are able to communicate what you're feeling. And that likely also influences the healthy nature of your relationships, and your ability to give and receive love has to do with this ability of yours to communicate your emotions and to also stay true to what you're feeling. And maybe that's why it's so hard if you are really in tune with your emotions. That's why it's so hard to move forward, because you are feeling, if you're ultra sensitive, it could also be like being sensitive to other people's emotions as well. But to any period of like doubt that you have or anxiety that arises, things like that, that could be like, if you're really in tune with your emotions, if you're a sensitive person, like that could be why this is so like playing such a big role in like within your chakras and within your energy overall. But yeah, I feel like that's a really positive card, although I don't feel like you would normally associate the throat chakra with cups, which are emotions, but I feel like those two go together well, actually. So moving on to the third eye chakra. This chakra is about vision, about clarity, insight, intuition, all of those good things. And so it's really interesting to me. I sort of expected that because of this coming out, and also I feel like both of these cards actually do, this one definitely, but both of these cards, because this card talks about moving forward with determination in spite of your fear of the unknown. But this energy of like not being able to see what the future holds and having doubts from that and uncertainties, I expected this to be not quite so positive. But we do have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and then the Two of Pentacles upright. But what I feel like I'm getting from that, just because of the context, is that like this is like, even though I'm interpreting this card as like, even though you might not be able to see certain things that are not like, you're not able to see what hasn't manifested yet, which, you know, like makes sense, right? But even though you can't see these things, the unmanifest, you're still balanced. You're still able to keep a balanced perspective. Like, just because you can't see something in your physical reality doesn't mean that you don't believe it. You know, I think that you really do, despite your doubts, I think that you do have this sense of clarity, which, you know, and also I think being well grounded helps you do this. But I'm getting the sense that you are able to sense things clearly. You're able to intuit things clearly, even when you can't actually see them. I feel like that sounds like a contradiction, like you can see what you can't see. Like that's that's not what it's, let me try again. You are able to sense, you're able to assess the situation accurately with clarity, even though you can't see, you know, what has not yet manifested. You're still balanced, you're still level-headed about it. I don't know if that was any better of an explanation, but I think that these moments of doubt, you know, they might make you feel like you have to juggle a little bit to maintain this balance. But actually, there's a really good book about the 7 chakras. It's called Eastern Body, Western Mind. I feel like I should start writing book reviews on my Patreon because I keep recommending books. But I guess let me know if that sounds interesting to you. But this book is great because the author has a background with Jungian psychology. And so she goes through each of the chakras and relates them to like early childhood development or like real life experiences that show how imbalances can be caused and like traumas that can be suffered in the different chakras and things like that. But that's my side rant. It's over. Now I'm going to get to the point. She writes about how it's important to remember to have a clear idea of the idea of balance. Most people think of stationary scales. Like a lot of people have that image in their mind. Like they're not moving. They're steady. They're perfectly balanced, right? But really, in real life, what it means to be balanced. I don't remember how she said it. Maybe she said, like, imagine trying to stay afloat on a raft in the water. Or maybe she said trying to stand on top of a ball. Like, whatever example it was, the point is, like, you are constantly making subtle adjustments in order to maintain your balance, but you are not stationary. It requires constant effort. If you are on a raft and you're being tossed about by the waves, you have to distribute your weight differently. You have to move with the different movements of the water in order to stay afloat, to stay on that raft, in order to maintain your balance. It's never just stationary. It's not like, okay, I'm balanced now, I'm good, let's not move. You know, it's a constant need to readjust, which on the one hand sounds, sort of exhausting, but it also just sounds more practical. Like there's there's always going to be like a little back and forth. But what was I going to say with that? This is what happens when I start going on tangents and I take myself away from the point I was trying to make. Having to balance because of the emotions. I think that your emotions are causing you, at times to feel like maybe you're not maintaining your balance, but you really are assessing the situation correctly, in the sense that like you're on the right path and you don't need to doubt yourself, even though you can't see the actual, progress of your manifestation or your progress in achieving your goal. Even if those things aren't visible to you in your physical reality, you're still assessing the situation correctly and understanding that this is your path. This is what's in alignment for you. So also really positive. Moving on to our final card, at least tarot card. We have the Queen of Swords for the crown chakra. So the crown chakra is, like, on the one hand, it is like associated with your mind, with your thoughts, but it's also like primarily it is like, how should I say? I mean, it's associated with like spirituality, divinity, that sort of thing. It is also associated with wisdom and knowledge, self-knowledge especially. And I feel like that is key to this card here, the Queen of Swords, because like this is the card where I'm like, you cut through the BS and can see things clearly. It's not being in tune with your emotions. Like the swords do represent thoughts, areas of your mind, communication as well. But the Queen of Swords is in tune with her emotions. She's not heartless. She just is able to, she's not swayed by her emotions, nor is she stuck in her head in rigid thinking. She has that balance. She is able to be discerning because of those aspects, because her head and her heart are balanced. And what I was saying about the crown chakra and being related to self-knowledge, of understanding yourself, and that sort of thing. I feel like this is also like just a reiteration or a reassurance, affirmation. What's the word I'm looking for? But it's just reaffirming the fact that you know yourself, you know what's best for you, you know that this is your path, you know that this is like, whether it's your higher calling or just like a step along the way, something that you need to experience in this lifetime in order for you to evolve and, like raise your levels of consciousness, become more enlightened, whatever it is. You are able to see clearly. You may have some issues with, like letting go of your ego needs on some level, but I think that you can tell. I think that you are able to assess the situation correctly and knowing like, oh, that's my ego. Oh, this is actually in alignment with me. You're able to just tell the difference. You know who you are, like authentically, on like your true nature. So I think that like it's really, I feel like this is really positive overall. I just feel like there's just a little bit of resistance here, that being able to find peace in the uncertainty and to release your attachment to any like ego needs or ego like attachments to like your identity and things like that. You don't need to worry about like your identity on a superficial level because you know who you are on a soul level. And even if other people don't get that, like, it's not worth compromising yourself. Stay true to who you are, because that's what's going to lead you to fulfillment. So like I said, like, this is really positive overall. I hope that made sense. I hope that I hope that this is helpful. But I think that I just want to end with getting a couple of these lyric cards. I won't give up. I think we already got that from the determination and this card. But let's just see if we can get one or two more. Last messages for this group. Even if I'm shaking and afraid, I walk on. Well, there you go. Yeah, just keep going. Confront your fears. Don't let your hesitation let you get stuck. Don't let it keep you stagnant. Keep moving forward, because you're on the right path. And like, you seem to be very, like what I guess people usually say, spiritually evolved. That sounds like really cheesy to me, but you seem really in tune with yourself, with who you truly are, and with your intuition. And it all sounds very positive to me. So don't let this little bit throw you off or make you feel like you aren't manifesting what you're trying to manifest, because this seems like, in the grand scheme of things, this seems very minor. So if you get worried now and then, it's normal. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's natural. Just accept that, like, uncertainty and facing the unknown is a scary thing. So sometimes you're going to get scared. And when you accept those feelings without resistance, instead of trying to, like, trying to keep them away, like, that's really what represses them. So just accept that sometimes you're going to get anxious, and then let those anxieties flow away like water, and you'll be good to go. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate any feedback if you have any for me. I would love to hear how this resonated with you. If this reading made sense to you, if you would like to see more readings like this in the future. I thought it was pretty fun. But yeah, let me know, and I'll see you in my next one.